All right, crew, welcome back into the Agency Therapy Podcast. Super stoked to have you back on the channel. We got Cory Jackson here today. What's up, Cory?
What's up, dude?
It's like we just did this or something. We forgot to push the record button the first time around, but it's all good. We got it down this time. So you guys excited to chat with Cory a little bit more. He's going to be a regular on this podcast just because, one, you're around all the time and you're my sales director. So yeah. Welcome back in, man.
Yeah, dude, stoked.
I want to talk to you about a couple of things today. We're going to keep this one short, concise today, but I want to talk a little bit about the sales team, the SDR roles and the closing roles that we're specifically bringing on right now. But also, you've been working on some really cool projects. Maybe shed a little light on what you're working on, if you're allowed to. I don't know what you can and cannot share, but...
Yeah. Luckily, being an owner, I can share whatever I want.
That's
right?
very true. Well, sometimes there's the NDAs in place, and every once in a while, you get hit by that.
Yeah, no, nothing crazy there. But yeah, Sales Haven is growing, which is really exciting. But with sales working, we are creating our own problems. So we are actually going to branch out into some lead generation services and some talent services and those kinds of things. So when sales is pumping, marketing either has a hard time keeping up or they have a hard time staffing at the same clip that we're selling at. So we are going to be standing up those services here soon. So I'm stoked.
It's kind of exciting to kind of see the transition. Like before, it was like very one track focused. Now it's kind of spreading out the lanes. That's very similar to how like Hydra started. Like we were pretty focused specifically on the operational side, and then it started to expand because like we were noticing like, hey, like we could solve one specific issue, but then a client leaves because we can't solve the rest of the issues. So that's cool that that evolution is happening so quick because you guys have been running for about a year now, close to a year.
Yeah, getting close. We're, I guess, full time, about 8 months.
8 months.
And a little bit of carryover before that. But yeah, about an 8-month period.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the SDR role because I've been seeing some interesting stuff online. And specifically, like, one, it seems like SDRs are coming harder and harder to come by, like really good ones at least. Like, where is that coming from? Like, are a couple companies just scooping up the best ones and we can't get a hold on it? Or is it just like lack of experience in the space? Like, why are we seeing...
Yeah, we saw a huge flood of SDRs when the internet marketing, coaching, and consulting, those kinds of things really took off. I would say 2017 to 2021 or so really started to get a foothold there. But being an SDR is pivotal, but it's a grind. And some people are trying to adapt the laptop lifestyle, that kind of stuff, without actually doing any work. And it is becoming harder and harder to find. But then also a lot of companies don't either have enough opportunity for an SDR. They structure their comp where an SDR is not really incentivized, where like they peak out at $70K a year. Yeah. And that's a hard job to do for $70K a year. And then really what I would say the last piece is a lot of the telecom companies are cracking down on this, where if you hit a certain amount of dials in a day, you will actually get flagged, and your call will show up as spam likely. So seeing companies not have ways around that. And Matt Ryder is kind of at the forefront of this on the SDR side. He's done a ton of research on it, but he's even been able to share a lot of content around compliance and those kinds of things, which is causing these numbers to get flagged, which is very interesting.
Yeah, that's super interesting. One point that I want to pause on there is like that comp structure. I saw someone make a post the other day about like their comp structure, and it seems like it's a pretty traditional, like you're going to get a percentage of commission plus some sort of base salary. We do something a little bit different. We have a base salary plus a qualified booked call. Like they get paid on qualified booked call. I feel like more people are kind of transitioning to that qualified book call. But there's like some benefits and probably some non-benefits of both. Like what are you seeing in the space?
Yeah, I think the qualified book call is going to become more prevalent because it's a little bit unfair to have a huge majority of SDR comp be reliant on somebody who isn't them.
Sure.
Right. And they could set everybody in the world, but if the closer can't close a door, like they don't get comped for it. Right. So we are starting to see a shift in trend there, but also we're noticing that in larger tickets, I would say 10K and north being considered larger tickets. We are seeing more of the qualified booked call. And then on the lower tickets, it is a volume game. So they are getting paid on the close itself.
On the close instead.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. And as far as like, who you said Matt Ryder? Yeah. A pretty good person to check out for like SDR type stuff.
Yeah. He's a monster. He actually used to be the CEO of Seventh Level with Jeremy Miner.
Okay.
And then kind of built out his SDR program and those kinds of things. Invested a ton into his own tech and research and all of that. But he's putting out a lot of really good content. So that's a good place to find it as well.
Cool. Awesome. And then on the flip side, like the closing, like it seems like even closers are hard to come by right now. Like, why are we seeing that?
We're seeing some people churn out of the space where offers can't support the gold standard of the 10K a month. We're also got flooded with entrepreneurs, and everybody read Alex Hormozy's $100 million offer book, which, don't get me wrong, excellent literature for sure, but started to put some stuff out there that they either couldn't fulfill on or they were young entrepreneurs and hired a closer too soon and really just started to churn these people out. But then we are seeing some tenure. So some offers that have had closers on them for 3, 4, 5 years, matching more of like the traditional corporate sales tenure, which has been pretty cool to see. But yeah, they are getting harder and harder to come by because they will land with the whales and stay with the whales.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's like at that point their comps are so big that it's like why would I even take a chance leaving this job? And it's like, some of these guys, they have it so dialed in where it's like they're not working, even 40 hours a week. Like they're taking their 20 hours of calls per week and they're able to close, at a minimum 10K a month, if not, 30, 40K a month with just 20 calls on the calendar because they've got it dialed in that much.
Yeah. And we're noticing systems becoming very important for keeping those people.
Yep, for sure.
On both lead gen and on the sales side. And then fulfillment obviously has to be able to keep up, and good scalable fulfillment will keep those closers there for a long time. Their belief won't dip or fade or those kinds of things if people start to churn or have negative client experiences and those kinds of things. Yeah.
How on your side, how are you keeping, because you manage a lot of different closing teams and you see the inside of a lot of companies that are producing, high 7 figures, 8 figures, and maybe even a couple 9-figure people in there.
Not quite 9.
Okay, 7 and 8 figure.
Yeah.
But how are they keeping their sales teams motivated? Because I'm sure everyone experiences those ebbs and flows of marketing, or even the closing percentages. It's like we're in what feels like a kind of a bottleneck economic situation where it's like people are willing to spend less right now. How are you seeing people staying motivated on the sales teams?
Yeah, that's a good question. So outside of some of the traditional, you get a bonus if you close this much this month or those kinds of things, I would say the biggest differentiator is open comms from ownership or from marketing or sales directors, of really talking to their team about this is the environment, this is what's going on, and not the continual, hey, it's going to get better next month. Hey, it's going to get better next month. Because you can only pull somebody along like that for so long before they wise up.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. How do you make sure, if you're leading a sales team, how do you kind of keep that from happening where it's hey, what adjustments do you look at making when someone is, starting to get a little stagnant in that position?
From a manager or a closer?
Manager position.
Manager? Yeah. So a manager, we look at really kind of 4 areas just to make sure that their team is growing. So first thing that they assess is, does the person know what their job is, right? And in a sales role, that seems like it can be pretty
seems like
simple.
A no-brainer.
But you would be surprised on how many things fall into a sales role that some people just aren't even aware of. An example would be calling current clients to get referrals.
Yeah.
A lot of sales people don't even know that they can do that, or that's an option, right? And then from there, do they have the appropriate timelines and projections? And then from there, is there a motivation or a skill gap?
Yep.
And then is there a need in education or those kinds of things? And if we hit all 4 of those, then typically we can solve most of the problems going on the team. And then if it's outside of that, we do nights at the round table every morning with all my directors where we kind of talk about problems that we can't solve. And then we get to share ideas and those kinds of things, which seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, that's incredible. I like the Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah.
We'll have to implement a little bit of that on our team.
Yeah.
Sweet, man. On the Sales Haven side, we haven't really talked about like what the whole mission is for Sales Haven. I would love people to know like, hey, like what are you specifically building? Like what are you hoping to achieve through this? Like what's the strategy?
Yeah, so internet marketing right now is growing at a very big clip. Last I heard, somebody check me on this, but last I heard it was about a $250 billion a year industry, growing in double digits every single year.
Yep.
And what I'm hoping to do is get a decent foothold on some larger players in the market and being able to offer multiple services around acquisition and revenue driving activities to when the big consulting firms, the traditional ones, the McKinseys, the KPMGs, actually look at this as like a viable option for them to start to consult in, that we can do a strategic exit.
Yeah.
That is my goal.
Yeah.
And they are operating about 5 to 8 years behind the internet marketing space. So I have a little bit of time, but not as much as I would like. So
yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the big four consulting firms. It's like, this is something that's very new in our industry, and it's not necessarily something that you just like learn in college, but there's a lot of opportunity here. So it's like, this is something that Nicholas and I chatted about too, is like, yeah, there's no reason that with what we do, it couldn't sell to like a big four consulting group at some point in time. It was like, those are the people that would buy a company like this, is like someone that has like a digital presence, works specifically on digital companies, because, outside of like your traditional coaching consulting, there's no big four consulting for like a digital arm. Right.
Yeah.
But, the other side of it too is like, yeah, they could acquire it pretty easily. But like, could they acquire the talent to build something like this?
Yeah, they could, but I think that there are a lot of smart people that work at those firms and realize that to be able to acquire the talent versus purchase it, the cost benefit analysis on that probably wouldn't make sense. So, hoping to position around that. I really don't want to exit to PE or something like that.
Sure.
I would really prefer a strategic exit, depending on what that looks like.
Yeah.
Open, but ideally to a big four.
Yeah. What, for you guys to be able to do that, like what are the constraints right now that you're needing to solve? Obviously the size of the business, but also, like what are you guys doing right now to kind of open those constraints?
Yeah, so I was the constraint for a while, and still probably am to an extent.
For sure. I feel that.
Just due to white knuckling and want to really have a lot of control and quality assurance and those kinds of things. But I do feel like I have the right talent and for building the next arms of the business, I am really excited about the people we're looking at being able to run those. So then the next constraint is going to be talent. Making sure that we can get the right minds in the same space, rowing the boat the same way. I think talent is going to be the next constraint. I don't actually think it's going to be lead gen or sales or those kinds of things. I think it's going to be asses in seats.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's the hardest part about building any business.
Yeah.
It's like making sure that you have the right people in the right seats, and it's like people that will actually expand the company for you, not just people that'll sit idly by and
100%.
Just check the boxes. It's like, no, each department needs to expand with the people that are in it, and it needs to grow without you there.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, that's spot on for sure.
Yeah.
Sweet dude. I mean, what else? What else is new in?
Yeah, I mean, want
sales
to shout out D Dang.
D-Dang, shout
been
out.
able to give me a lot of really, really good advice and consulting around even just structuring comp, for those people to feel like a level of buy-in and those kinds of things. So that has been unbelievably helpful to get the right talent.
Tell us more about the comp structure.
Yeah,
I'm curious now.
It's finding the intrapreneur who doesn't have the risk tolerance to be an entrepreneur. And that person, they exist. They're all over the place, but they have proven to be a little bit difficult to find. But that is the ideal person we're looking for in like our B level leadership, where they have some of the upside of being the business owner, but not obviously shouldering the risk of an entrepreneur.
Yeah, of course.
So being able to build in, whether it be bonuses or commission plans around roles that sometimes don't even have that. To be able to have them feel like their spoke in the wheel is really feeding the entire machine.
Yep.
To keep those people long term, because replacing people is expensive.
Super expensive. Yeah.
Especially people who are higher up the ladder. I think that those waves and ripples become massive if they're allowed to be. So being able to have financial buy-in to those things, some idea, I'll say like meritocracy, which best idea wins, right? It doesn't
Sure.
matter who it comes from. So actually feeling that level of buy-in from everybody on the team. We actually just implemented a strategy that came out from somebody like on our sales coordinator side, because she had the best idea. So being able to have those people feel seen and heard as a part of a team, I think is also important.
I love that. That's incredible. Anything on like the phantom equity side? I'm curious, or like, are you giving away equity at all? What's the grand plan there?
Yeah, so right now we're going to be doing revenue splits, or what I'll call profit splits, where the president of each department will have like a profit split on their section of the business, which also means that they're going to mind their P&L pretty closely so
sure.
that they have a good distribution. And then from there on the exit, there will be an equity payout on the exit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man, is like when everyone is kind of rowing the same direction, we all are on the same mission to build a profitable business, but one that will be exitable in the next, 5 years or so. I mean, everything just starts clicking with people. Like the buy-in is crazy.
Yeah, it's huge. And I'm really looking forward to these other realms because they're outside of my zone of genius, which means I'm going to be forced to let other people run that side, which I'm stoked about. And actually being able to leverage a lot of the systems that you guys help us build.
For sure, dude. Yeah, I mean that's the best part is like once it's built once, it's very repeatable.
Yeah.
I mean that's why I love what we do is because it's like a one-time fix, and then you just build it into a process, and now the team knows it for the rest of the business life. It's great.
Yeah, because it'll be a leads agency, so we'll be able to take all of that, and then a sales agency, and then a talent agency. So there's a lot of copy and paste that's going to happen from everything that we were able to build with you guys, and then relying on the presidents of each one to be the brains of those operations. And I just get to play devil's advocate and swing scissors, man.
Now, the business has grown pretty much organically.
Yeah.
Referrals, me being the main source of that.
Yep.
Are you guys going to turn on any other marketing soon?
Yeah. So when we stand up Leads Haven, every other business entity is going to be a client of Leads Haven. So they're going to be responsible for also driving traffic to the other parts of the business.
I love that. Do you have someone that's stepping into that role?
I do.
Who is it?
I do. I'm excited. Actually, I don't know if I haven't had a signed contract yet.
Okay.
So I
don't can't say it yet.
Don't want to.
But you have someone.
I do.
You have someone that you're excited about.
Yeah. Very excited about. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Comes from large agency space, which I think is going to be great, especially if we initially niche as the agency for agencies.
Yep.
Being able to have somebody who's run agency traffic before.
Yeah.
It's a little different than e-com.
For sure. Yeah, 100%. Any other constraints that you're like really trying to solve right now outside of just building the right team?
Well, with the right team, I think there are some constraints that I was unaware of about not all being in an office together, which I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've done both. I mean, having an in-office team is, in my opinion, way more fun. It's more culture. You have more ability to work with the team hands-on. If someone needs help with something, they just come to your office and they can knock on your door. It's great. But on the other side, it's like there is benefits, I think, to remote. And I think if we ever did get an office, it'd be like a mix between remote and...
Like a hybrid?
Yeah, kind of like a hybrid model. I think that's what would work best nowadays because I don't think everyone wants to be in office like every single day of the week. But I will say, I mean, for our agency, when we were 5 days a week out of our office, it was efficient, effective. Like things didn't get bottlenecked as frequently because like we could just solve problems live together versus having to schedule a call or Zoom or whatever it is. Like the speed of communication is just miles faster.
Yeah, we are experiencing some lag in that. Obviously, it's because people are busy, hopefully doing their job.
For sure. For sure.
But yeah, that lag is creating maybe some secondary bottlenecks.
Yeah.
So curious to be able to figure out how to solve that.
Yeah, man. Well, if you get an office, I would love to come and hang out.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Absolutely.
I love it, bro. Well, I know you have to hop on a call in like 2 minutes, so I want to be cognizant of that time. Dude, appreciate you coming on. We'll bring you back and we'll chat more on sales. And at some point, I want to do. I actually messaged Nick Aaliyah the other day to come on the podcast. So at some point, I want to do like a sales group. Maybe get Joey on here as well, or all top or Jake or whatever, and do like an all sales podcast. I think that would be.
I mean, they're all monsters.
10 out of 10.
So yeah, they would all be able to give really, really good advice and input.
It'd be great. It'd be great. So, all right, real quick, Cory. I know you did this last time, but where can people find you? And then plug whatever you want.
Yeah, you can find me at Sales Silverback for anything that you need. And then take a peek at my Q&A group on Facebook called Silverback Sales Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. He does crazy trainings Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 p.m.
6 o'clock Central. Yep.
6 o'clock Central, 6 to 7.
Yep. Yeah. Come in, bring questions. Be happy to help answer anything you guys have.
Let's go, dude. Thanks.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, crew. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel. Leave a like. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.